Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So Bitcoin shot all the way back up to $112,000 last night, and we actually tapped a new all-time high by about $20. In today's video, we're going to dive into both the short time frame and high time frame charts to talk about exactly what you need to be watching out for in terms of either a bullish continuation in the start of a potentially much larger rally or signs of an incoming reversal. Let's jump in. As always, before we jump in, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and sign up to my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're a trader and you're interested in joining my VIP trading channel, be sure to message me down below. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty guys, so jumping into the price action, let's start off by talking about what's happened with Bitcoin in the recent price action and what's been going on before we jump into our analysis. So here on the 4-hour time frame, we can see pretty much exactly what led to the short time frame breakout last night, and it was this symmetrical triangle structure that we had here on the 4-hour chart. Now, symmetrical triangle structures are generally continuation structures, and so over here entered into from the bottom side up or from an uptrend, the more likely scenario here was a break up and outwards, and that is exactly what we saw. Now, we pretty much predicted this exact move in my Telegram channel, so if you guys haven't joined my Telegram channel and you want a little bit more regular updates for Bitcoin, definitely go check that out. It's completely free. And this symmetrical triangle structure essentially had the measured move taking Bitcoin all the way up to $112,000, which is exactly what happened. If we apply that measured move to the breakout point, we can see the price action pretty much did exactly what was expected from this structure. Bitcoin actually reached a little bit higher than the prior all-time high at 111.948, and we went all the way up to 111,996. So a new all-time high by about $40 or $50 nearly. And so it's obviously a really big moment in the price action as we figure out on the short time frame whether or not this rally is going to continue. So knowing that the breakout has already happened on that short time frame structure, we've already fulfilled the entirety of that measured move, anything that this could have told us has already happened. And so to figure out whether or not we're going to actually see a continuation, right, the measured move doesn't take us beyond that point, we need to zoom out a little bit on the price action. So over the last month and a half to 2-month period, Bitcoin has essentially been traveling within this sort of same horizontal levels over and over again. And we can see that zooming out on the 4-hour chart. And it essentially ranges from 100K down here up to $112,000, right? We had multiple sort of levels in between, structures in between, and whatnot. But currently, the main thing that we're looking at, if we zoom out on that 4-hour chart, is this red box, this level over here that was previously resistance until around 3 a.m. this morning at $110 to $110.7 thousand. We can see we've pushed above it only one other time, and that was in this segment of price action when Bitcoin tapped 112 for the first time. We can see we tapped 110.7. We pushed above it as a level of support. Let me zoom in so you guys can see it a little bit better. We retested that level of support. You can see multiple wicks there going just below $110.7 thousand. Holding as support, we sort of retested 112 once again, creating that actual all-time high over here in this wick. But then ultimately losing that level, flipping that back down to being a resistance and falling below that is when Bitcoin started to, I guess, really consolidate quite bearishly, and we went all the way down to $110,000 over here. And so in this current segment of price action, we're essentially looking for the opposite of that to happen, right? We've pushed above $110,000 once again. We've flipped that level of resistance to a support. And in our most recent or our current 4-hour candle, Bitcoin is once again retesting that level as a base of support. We've pushed above, retest, and if we bounce or hold that level and continue to do so, we should be able to see a bullish continuation. And the current level of resistance then that we're looking at is pretty obvious as well. That's going to be that blue line mapping out that all-time high or that prior all-time high at 111,948, right? We can see it right there on the price map using the blue line. So essentially what we're looking at, Bitcoin has seen a massive rally. We're consolidating between newly established support and our current and the final level of resistance on both the short time frame and higher time frame charts, right? Pushing above 112, we will re-enter price discovery, so closing above that level and trigger, continued bullish price action on very likely at least the short time frame and potentially the high time frame as well. So let's really quickly talk about the levels that we have moving upwards. If Bitcoin is able to close above 112,000 or this blue line, we'll essentially be targeting whole numbers on the way up, right? Psychological levels where people will be looking to take profit and will be, I guess, the most ideal places to take profit as well, being 115,000, 120, and increments of 5 moving upwards just like that. And that also means then on the flip side, if Bitcoin closes below $110,000, this level of support over here, and we fall below this sort of liquidity zone mapped out by the red box, we're very likely to see a short time frame pullback for Bitcoin to retrace lower levels of support. Now you can pull up the Smart Money Concepts indicator, and you can see levels of support here on the 4-hour chart. But what we also have on top of that is the levels mapped out by that prior symmetrical triangle structure. So all these highs here that we created, so $109.7 thousand over here at $109,000 flat, those are all going to act as levels of support moving downwards. And we have the 50 EMA and this very crucial level down here at $107.2 to $107.4 thousand, the base or the horizontal base of that triangle structure. If we zoom in a little bit further to the hourly chart, we can see that the breakout has been so far really, really clean and really, really fresh, right? Nothing has really developed in terms of signaling for a warning or a potential reversal here. We've seen a very, very clean break of resistance and a very clean retest and bounce on support here on the hourly chart. RSI is looking pretty normal. There's no divergence. Everything's looking fine. Market cipher B is sort of starting to round out a little bit, but if that rounding out takes us to just retest support and bounce, again, no real warning signs over here. And if we contrast that to the last time we retested 110,000 and fell below that level, right, all the way back here at the start of our consolidation or a wider consolidation, we had a fair bit developing, right? We had continuing weakness across market cipher B and the RSI. We had bearish divergence there. And upon losing the bullish absorption happening between these two higher lows and lower lows on the RSI, we had the crash, right? So warning signs were sort of creeping up on the short time frame charts, and the possibility or the likelihood of pushing above 112 at that stage was quite obviously very, very low. And if we contrast that to this time, none of that's really developed yet. And it might, but as of right now, things are looking pretty good on the short time frame charts. Now, before we get into any more analysis, guys, let's really quickly touch on one of the most important parts of being a successful trader, and that's managing your trading fees. So BTC has partnered with me to help you guys out and give you 15% off all of your trading fees. So if you'd like to support the channel and you're still really looking for a great non-KYC exchange with lots of listings, high liquidity, and security, BTC is definitely a great one to check out. And as a thank you for signing up under my affiliate code, you can get 10% off your VIP membership if you message me your affiliate code or your membership number when you check out your VIP membership. Thanks. Let's get back into the charts. So let's wrap up the short time frame analysis and then move over onto the daily and the weekly chart. So it's here on the higher time frames here that the price action isn't looking as bullish as the short time frame, and where the sort of warning signs are kind of starting to pop up, at least for high time frame at bullish continuation, right? We've already seen the short time frame rally. Short time frame's clearly looking very bullish, but on the high time frame, we've got 22 minutes left to the close. What we've essentially been watching for, and that doesn't look like it's particularly going to happen, is a daily candle close above this orange line over here at $111.7 thousand. And that is the daily candle close for that prior high here, right? The first time we tapped $112,000. Now, the reason why a candle close above that level here would be so much more bullish for Bitcoin is essentially it's telling us that at this retracement or at this sort of retest of $112,000, we are closing, we're engulfing that prior high, and increases the likelihood that we're going to see a bullish continuation. Opposingly, if we close below that level after, I guess, tapping that buy side liquidity, that essentially confirms to us that here on the daily time frame, that level is still very much a level of resistance. And at resistance, there is always a probability that we see a correction or a reversal, right? And that takes us back to the short time frame where we're looking at that $110,000 level to trigger that potential bearish correction. While we hold that level, support is support until it's not. So even though we've tapped this level as resistance, if Bitcoin continues to retain movement above $110,000, we might see that bounce and reversal back upwards, and in that instance, get the daily candle close that we're waiting for right now. Now, what we can also see here on the daily chart that is a tiny bit of a warning sign is here on the RSI, being this sort of breakout that we've had from the downtrend developed in the last 2 months of price action. So we can see here, right, ever since Bitcoin tapped 112 for the first time, we had these sort of consistent lower highs forming in the price action, and we had a corresponding downtrend in momentum as well. So bullish momentum was decreasing. We had an increasing selling pressure down here, right, mapped out by these lower lows on the RSI as well. And of course, Bitcoin was just generally looking a little bit bearish here on the daily chart. Things weren't looking all that great. And then over here, when we broke out from that RSI downtrend and Bitcoin tested this level of support, we saw that massive sort of rally and bounce. What we ended up going on to do, as we can see right now, is retest those levels mapped out by these prior highs in that downtrend, so $110,000 and $112,000. But on the RSI, what we can see is that despite the fact that the price action itself has gone back up to retest these upper levels, momentum is still below the levels that we had retesting those and sort of forming that downtrend for the first time. And sorry, it's kind of confusing to explain, but essentially what we're seeing here is despite the fact that Bitcoin's at $111,000, momentum or bullish momentum is lesser than it was at this point over here where we tapped 110 and rejected, right? And so that essentially decreases the probability moving forward that we reclaim $110,000 as a successful level of support. I'm not saying that's impossible. We're clearly doing it right now on the short time frame charts, but on the daily time frame, it hasn't happened yet, right? So if anything happens on the short time frame and it happens for long enough, it's going to happen on the high time frames as well. But as of right now, with this daily candle close about to happen, it does not look like we're going to push above 64.03 or this blue line on the RSI, signaling that we have a high probability at this retest of 110 of reclaiming it as a level of support. So moving forward with this daily candle close not potentially going to achieve those things, first of all being a push above our prior daily candle close for the all-time high at 111.7 and a push above 64 on the RSI, that's what we're going to be continuing to look for if, on the short time frame, $110,000 remains a level of support. If we zoom out to the weekly chart, we've got a similar sort of situation building up over here as well. So the weekly candle close is ages away. We've got 4 whole days before the weekly candle close happens on Monday morning for those of us in Australia. But what we're essentially looking for, and that we haven't seen yet in this most recent rally upwards, is a push above the prior high on the RSI. And that is particularly concerning because over the last, 2 years of price action or year and a half of price action, Bitcoin has continually been losing momentum here on the weekly time frame charts. We've got 2 instances of bearish divergence here, and essentially tells us that moving forward, every single subsequent rally where Bitcoin creates a new all-time high is, this is also pretty logically, sound, but with every step upwards that Bitcoin creates, the more risky or the more final that move is, which makes a lot of sense even if you didn't have RSI. Obviously, the higher it goes, the more risky it is to enter. But with these developments continuing and with the consistent lower highs on the RSI, what it essentially tells us is each subsequent rally that Bitcoin has, right? Over here, we rallied from the low all the way up to $81,000 or $70,000, and then over here we rallied up to all the way up to 108 and then 110. With each of these rallies, they're getting weaker, smaller, and more inherently risky, right? Because the possibility of a correction with continued developments of bearish divergence here on the weekly chart mean that there is a high probability for that rally to be the final one in this run and to potentially lead to a higher time frame bearish correction. That's obviously not what we want if you're looking for a high time frame continuation for Bitcoin and a movement into price discovery and those larger targets like 115 and 120. And so with 4 days left to the weekly candle close, what we're essentially looking for is this most recent high here, mapped out by this orange line at 67.65, to be pushed above, right? We want a higher high on the RSI here for the first time within this year and a half period. That would be absolutely huge, and that should push Bitcoin into a high time frame period of price discovery. Alrighty guys, that is all the analysis that I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And sign up to my free Telegram for more regular Bitcoin updates. If you're interested in joining my VIP trading channel, be sure to message me down below on Telegram to get exclusive access to my personal trading setups. And if you want 15% off your trading fees, you can create your account using my affiliate link. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!